Hey, remember when I used to do pointless videos like this a lot? Yeah, I don't really either. It's been a long time. So this is Squirtle. It's based off of Wordle, which I don't play because it's a cult. But I do play this. It's just a decent way to waste a couple minutes if I've got nothing going on. And I'm going to explain what this game is. So basically, it's just try to guess the Pokemon, and I'll put in a random one here. We'll do like bake. Here's bake. And so it'll give you basically, it'll tell you if you got the types right, if you got the gen correct, or if it's higher or lower, and then the height and weight. And I've shown this game to a few people, and for some reason there's a sticking point with a lot of people where it's like, well, I don't know height and weight. How am I supposed to do that? It's like, nobody does. Like, you don't really need it that much. It's there to kind of like steer you in the right direction if you're like if you've got the other ones and you are basically blindly guessing, you can kind of, you can picture usually if something is going to be higher or lower. Pokemon weights make no sense at all, so you can usually kind of ignore that. It's like, generally the bigger something is, the more it's going to weigh, unless it's just a weird outlier like Mudsdale or something. But yeah, you don't have to worry about that too much. You have the option to display info or not. I usually do it without. Can I do a... Yeah. So here's the way that I usually play this. I will almost always start with B-barrel, or B-barrel, or B-barrel, I don't know how you really say it. I pick it because normal and water are the most common types, and that ties into my spreadsheet that I spent entirely way too much time working on. I did indeed count everything up, and if we look at the totals for every generation, this is how often types come up. So we got water and normal at the top. Technically, the none type is the most common. We'll probably get to that in a second here. And then yeah, it goes down from there. And then I have breakdowns per generation, because some of them have kind of interesting results. Like, Gen 1 has 15 million poison types. Did you realize Fairy and Dragon were that prevalent in Gen 6? That type of thing. So, I'll usually do that to start out, and so now we have a lower generation. So now we know it's going to be Gen 1, 2, or 3, and, if we guess Gen 2, no matter what it tells us here, we're going to know which generation it is after doing that, so we can do Gen 2. And then I usually like to go with Crobat, because within the first 3 generations, there's so many poison types, and flying is pretty common, at least in the first 2. I guess not as much in the 3. So we'll go with that, see if that helps narrow it down a little bit. So we're looking at a Gen 1, and it's none of those types, and whatever it is, well, Crobat's pretty big, but yeah, it's shorter than 1 meter. So, anyway, after we do that, I always like to try to I like to rule out single types as early as possible, because those are very common. So if I had to guess what's the most common type in Gen 1 that we haven't covered yet, I am going to guess probably Psychic or Bug. Am I right? Yeah, it's Psychic. Okay. So, I'll go ahead and do a pure Psychic. I'll do maybe Kadabra is probably around that size. Okay, well, we know it's not that. And now we're at the part where it's basically just let's guess a bunch of types. And since we know it's Gen 1, we don't have to guess within that. If we happen to get it, like if we stick to Gen 1 and happen to just guess it on accident, then I mean, there you go. But don't limit yourself on that too much. So, let's do this statistically here. Ground and grass are the next common, so let's guess Torterra. See if that finds anything. Okay, we know it is a mono ground type. And I could look up how many mono grounds there are. We've got the spreadsheet. There's also the option to do this, where you can type in these little things like that, and it'll give you the full list. I generally like to save that for if I'm on my final guess, just because I feel like it's a little bit cheap. But let's see, what's a mono ground that's about a foot tall? I'm thinking maybe Marowak. Yep, So let's do another one, see what we get. I want to get ones that come out with like different starts. Okay, so we're looking at a higher generation this time. This one, unfortunately, because there's 4 generations it could be, we can't narrow it down with just one guess. I usually go with 6. Let's go ahead and actually just do Mega Altaria, because it is a Dragon Fairy, which are the most common types for Gen 6. Okay, it's a Gen 6, but it is not any of those types. A common guess I used to do was I would often go with a Bug Flying type, because those are also very common. So I would do like Vivillon if it was higher, or like Lediba or something if it was lower. You can kind of find what works for you best. So let's see, what else is common in 6? The thing is, Gen 6 includes all the megas, so that's like another 50 things that you might not think of off the top of your head. There's probably a lot of flying, and we should also get a single type out of the way, so maybe not flying yet. How high is grass? I'm curious. Okay, apparently Psychic's very high. Let's do a pure Psychic. Let's just do... Apparently it's very big, so we'll do Mega... I think Alakazam's a little bigger. Nope. Okay, so not single type. What dual types do we want to rule out? Grass, probably. Grass flying, maybe. Is there a grass flying in Gen 6? None are immediately coming to mind, so whatever. Let's just do Tropius. Okay, we got a grass type. What is grass dual with in Gen 6? Poison if it's Venusaur. Ice if it's Mega Abomasnow. I think that's ice grass, though. I actually don't remember. Could be Chestnut. I don't think there's a grass bug. Or rock. Oh, there's definitely a few grass ghosts. So here's another thing that I like to do is we know it's grass. We don't have to keep guessing that every time. So it's like, you know, it could be one of the grass ghosts. So it's like I could type in Phantump or something, but, you know, let's combo it with something else. Because it could be that, or it could be, you know, Chestnut. So let's go with Marshadow, because that'll check both fighting and ghost. And surprisingly, it was neither, because there's 4 grass ghosts in Gen 6. I figured it was going to be one of those. What else we got? We don't have an ice poison type, unfortunately. I'm pretty sure none of those exist. Grass dark, I want to say there's none from Gen 6. Same with steel. So my current guess is Mega Venusaur. I'm trying to... Yeah, I think that might be the only one it can be. Yep. I'll just do like one more of these. This video doesn't need to go on for 5 hours. Okay, higher generation. Let's go ahead and do Vivillon for the sake of it. I don't want to do another Gen 6. I like how, like, Bibarel is just always my first guess. I feel like it's a little cheap, but, what you gonna do? Here's another thing I do often. If I hit normal on the first guess, even if it's a lower generation, a good follow-up to this is Rookidee. You could also do Tornadus if you wanted, but a pure flying type, because that'll then rule out if it's a pure normal or if it's a normal flying, which are the most possible the most likely combinations. In this case, it is surprisingly neither. So we're looking at a dual normal type that is not part flying between Gens 4 and 6, or sorry, between 4 and 8, not including, so yeah, so 5, 6, or 7. There's a few things it could be. Psychic, I think, is the most common, because it could be Meloetta or Oranguru, maybe. There's a few fires. Yeah, I guess if you count with evolutions, it's a little hard to narrow it down. So let's figure out the gen. Let's guess a Gen 6, because that'll tell us for sure. And is there a Gen 6 Fire Psychic? No. Grass Psychic? No, I don't think so. What else combos with normal? Electric? Could do a Lowland Raichu, but I'm really wanting to do a Gen 6 specifically. Here I am, you know, messing around for 5 hours trying to figure out what the best guess could be. I don't think we have a normal... No, we do have normal fighting. It's Meloetta Pirouette. Can I combo that with anything? Let's do grass fighting. Okay, it's neither of those, and we now know it's a Gen 5, so the normal combos in Gen 5 are Psychic, Fighting, Grass. I think that's it, actually, so this might have to be Meloetta. Yep. So, yeah, like I said, I like to try to do it without my... I spent all this time making this stupid resource, and it's like, yeah, here's normal, here's the things it combos with. Most of it I just kind of have memorized. I never remember, like, the order of what's most common, but... That's pretty much what this game is. Like I said, it's a time waster. Let's guess. Good on again. Higher gen. I often go with Thwacky as my third guess if it's a higher than Gen 6, just because grass is generally pretty common and it's good to get single type out of the way. What is the most common for 8, actually? It's Psychic. I think we determined that earlier in the video. So instead of doing that, let's do, like, I think Hatena is pure Psychic. Yeah. I never remember when it gains part Fairy. Okay, it's a pure type. Let's see. Oh, and it's a Gen 7, apparently. I know water is the most common in 7. What else is high up there? Probably Fairy. Let's see. Grass, Steel, Fairy. Steel is surprisingly high. It's probably not a Steel type because it's light. I usually... The main thing I do with weight is if it's Rock or Steel, those are usually high up. So let's guess a Fairy and a Grass, I guess. Let's do. Okay, Mono Grass. It's not one of the starters. It could be either Fomantis or Bounsweet or either of its evolutions. I am going to guess Steenie. Surprisingly, it was. So yeah, that's really what it just kind of comes down to. There's lots of little things you pick up. Sometimes it's complete horseshit, like, you know, if you happen to get a mono type, like a mono water from Gen 3, like, you know, have fun with that. There's a lot of them. Just stuff like that. One time I got a mono water in Gen 1, and there, oh god, there's even more in Gen 1. I didn't even realize that. I kept guessing, and it was, whatever it was like really heavy. So I'm like, okay, what would be the heaviest Gen 1 water type? And I'm like, it's probably Blastoise. I guessed Blastoise. It wasn't. It was still heavier than that. You want to guess what it was? It was freaking Seal. Like, what? So, I don't know. Like I said, it's just kind of something to do. And that's the entire video, and there's a Hoodoo.